Answer my question! The question, jerk!
Welcome back to another super exciting THN Answer of the Week, and we have got some answers this week to play for you. But before we can do that, Joe Patrick, I need you to reset the question, and then we'll tell these jerks how they can call us and, play along.
It's a good thing you told them that we had some answers for them. Otherwise, they'd be really wasting their time.
Well, I didn't want it to be mysterious. I wanted to let them know, this shit is happening.
Calm down. Yes, indeed, we do have some answers.
Yeah. It's all happening.
All right. Well, this week's question was submitted by Brian Domingos via the THN Forums. It's the question of the week, self-quarantine edition. You have access to any comic book published in any language. What would be in your lockdown reading pile? Would it be an old favorite or something you always wanted to get caught up on?
See, and it's just I want to be so dangerous here. Other languages and shit, but I'm so bad with foreign comics. I don't speak foreign comics.
I like, baby.
Yeah, I'm terrible at it. I mean, we've reviewed some stuff and gone that's really good. I can't remember any of them. Suddenly, they're just gone. Let's see if you guys want to play along. You can call us at 402-819-4894, or you can shoot us an MP3 to twoheadednerd@gmail.com. That's what Frank Cirillo did. Check this guy out.
Hey guys, it's Frank from New York. Upstate New York, to be precise. Yes, I know. I'm from Brooklyn originally. I'm Italian, so, I got to do the whole, hey, what's going on?
Hey, forget about it.
This is ridiculous.
Hey,
it's ridiculous and very, very, very embarrassing. Anyway, so my pick for what I would like to read during the quarantine it's a little weird and old, it's the old Gold Key Comics Star Trek collection. I would love to get into that. I remember reading it as a kid. I don't actually have any of those comics, which is surprising because I was a huge Star Trek fan, but I think I would like to read those. They would be kind of cool to read. The other thing I would like to read are the 70s era Doctor Strange, because I've heard it's just so bizarre.
It is totally weird.
And some of that old Marvel, space opera stuff, like the old Marvel Guardians of the Galaxy. I've heard they're just really strange and really interesting. So I don't know. Who knows? But anyway, let me pause that for a second. Anyway, my kids are running through the room my son is Spider-Man, dressed as Spider-Man, making Spider-Man noises. He's like...
It sounds like his kid is actually Spider-Man, wearing a Spider-Man costume, making Spider-Man noises. Right?
Anyway, yeah, I think that's what I'd like to... I'd like to sit down and read when I'm not actually working. Since I'm a teacher, I actually am working from home every day, and it's I don't know. The best word I could use to describe it is surreal. So let's just say that it's very strange. It's not what I would prefer to do, and I would much more prefer to be in a classroom with my kids. Have a great weekend, guys. We'll talk to you soon. Looking forward to hearing from you. Bye.
I think we would all prefer to have real life right now. But since we don't, we have comic books. Speaking of which, the old Gold Key Star Treks, not collected anywhere.
Not true, actually.
Did you find something?
I did some research while we were recording there. They did I'm finding a 5-volume collection of trades that they put out over the course of a few years. They were put out by
Gold Key
Checker.
Archives, yeah.
They were called Star Trek: The Key Collection.
Yeah.
And they are not in print. They're not in print at Diamond anymore.
So,
but they're still out there, and they're not I'm looking at mycomicshop.com.
They're not
they've got all 5 of them for less than $25 a piece.
There you go.
So yeah, if you wanted to read all those, and that's the only way you can get them, there are places where you can still get them. There's not I'm not seeing any crazy Amazon out of print prices on them.
No, it's not bad at all. Doctor Strange, all that 70s stuff is in print. Definitely. Like the Marvel, what were they called? Those reprints that they did.
The Epic Collection.
Was that what it is? One I was thinking Masterworks is what I was thinking of.
You're thinking of Masterworks?
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm sure that it's been reprinted somewhere.
Gotta be, right?
I don't know how to search for that. I don't know how to phrase it.
Doctor Strange 70s. Yeah, I mean, they've got to be out there. Stanley, who was writing them at the time? Would that have
been Steve Englehart?
Yeah.
And Frank Brunner.
That run has to be collected, though.
Okay, here we go. Doctor Strange, A Separate Reality trade paperback. It's an epic collection. It is. It came out in 2016, and it collects that first chunk of his first ongoing series that he took over from Strange Tales.
Okay.
And then that second series with that new number 1 in the 70s. Got
it. All right. That's fun. Those are fun. Man, those are some wacky Doctor Strange comics.
Yeah. I'm not sure if that one is available anymore, but it did get made.
I'm not going to say it's great, but I will say they're very creative.
Oh, those guys were all on drugs.
Oh, yeah.
Marvel, The Untold Story by Sean Howe. The section in the 70s where like the New Guard came in, like the young guys kind of kicking the door down and taking the reins of the Marvel Universe, like Jim Starlin and those guys. Right. They were high on life.
Oh, yeah. Without a doubt. All right, let's go to the first Google voice call.
Hey guys, it's Brian Domingos. This quarantine, I have gotten really into my my Hoopla account, the digital library
Hoopla
card that you can get books and ebooks, and they DC has like their day and date releases, even through the quarantine non-printing time. Their digital trade paperbacks and stuff are there. So I've been reading a bunch of those. You get 5 free a month with your library card. And I decided that I sort of stalled out on reading Saga. I think the last year or so that it was being published, like 12 issues or maybe even 18 issues. So I'm almost done with the first deluxe hardcover, which is 18 issues. I've got the next 2 I'll be reading in June. And just sort of reacquainting myself with that. And there were some other books that I read, that Tom King Superman book, which was fine. And other kind of little YA graphic novel, things like that.
Okay, hold on. What is he talking about? Tom King Superman book?
It was Tom King. It was the original story that was serialized in the Walmart exclusive 100-page Giants.
Gotcha. Okay, back to Mark.
My favorite deaths in comics. There are so many different options and great choices, but I was trying to think of something a little uncommon. And I think it's interesting that Grant Morrison managed to kill Aztec twice in really heroic ways during his JLA run with Howard Porter. First, it was the female Aztec in the future to destroy a bunch of Darkseid's henchmen in the zombie factory on the moon, and then to take out a big chunk of Mageddon, Aztec himself at the end of the run, trying to save Superman. Both really fun, both massively incomprehensible explosions and just huge messes that those characters made, and it's pretty cool he was able to do it twice. All right, that's it for this week. Talk to you guys later.
It's a great death.
Yeah. That's great. That is a good death.
And he died twice.
What's that?
He did, in fact, die twice.
Yeah. Well, like he said, the
hello, ladies.
The first one was his successor.
Right.
The female Aztec in the future.
Still killed Aztec twice.
Yeah.
Which, when you love your characters, you torture them, right?
Yeah, exactly.
What did he say he was? Hoopla. What the fuck is Hoopla?
Hoopla is the digital library system, like actual library.
Like federal library? What are we talking? Like state? Like what?
Like the library system, where you go to check out a book.
You mean where homeless people go to use the bathroom? Is that what you're talking about? The library?
where creepy guys go to look up porn on the dial-up connection.
Gotcha. Okay. Now I'm following you.
But yeah, so it is the digital distribution platform for the library system, where you could check out
And I'm not poking fun of the library. I'm totally pro libraries. Don't at me. Okay. It's all good. I just didn't know what Hoopla was.
Yeah.
Okay then.
Yeah, it's where you can go to check out digital versions of what your library has to offer.
Fair enough. And DC does stuff through there. I didn't know that.
I don't know.
Okay. He said day and date, so that's interesting. I had no idea. That's cool. It's cool they're teaming with the library. Date. That's what he said.
For what, like new trades?
Yeah, I guess. But he said DC does stuff day and date.
Well, I mean, if the library is getting them,
I guess. I mean,
they're probably not ordering a digital copy of every collection.
Yeah, probably not. I bet they got the gold key Star Trek stuff, though. All right, let's go with Jimmy Randall next. See how gassy this guy is today.
Hello, ladies and germs.
Right
Jimmy
off
Randall
the bat.
here, coming in from the land down under. Answer to question of the week and just general talking shit. So what I had planned to read during my quarantine, my lockdown, that didn't happen. But during the comics lockdown, I wanted to get back into the old Asterix and Obelix books and the Tintin books from back in the day. Read a couple. It just didn't do it for me. So I was actually inspired by the latest episode of Two-Headed Nerd, and I read Brubaker's Captain America run for the very first time. And you guys are right. It is so damn good. It's kind of like the Bourne Identity. I can see how it shaped the tone of the Winter Soldier movie. I love Cap, but I don't get into Captain America too much. Like in the past, when I've really gotten into a Captain America storyline, my internal monologue starts to sound like this. I don't know if this is a good impression or not, but hey,
Australian people can just do that? Is that for real? They can just go American? That's not fair. We have the worst Australian accents when we try and do it.
Listen to me. I'm Jimmy. I'm from Milwaukee and Indianapolis. I'm sorry, but what I'm trying to say is Brubaker's run
is not in the South,
kind of, to me anyway,
Neither of those states are from the
very
South.
little to zero national identity. There was nothing really American about it. It didn't lean into any sort of jingoism. If you don't know what that word is, jingoism, it's kind of like it's hard to explain, a strongly passive aggressive nationalism, whatever, but
it's the animal that ate that lady's baby.
Yeah.
So thanks for recommending it, guys. Now
it's what our president does for a living now. So
just real quick, my favorite death, there's so many of them, but really what pops to mind is Spider-Man in Amazing Spider-Man number 700. It was a recent one. Now, we knew it wasn't the end. This wasn't the end of Spider-Man. He would absolutely come back. But I liked it because I was really excited to see where they went with the storyline. And holy hole in a donut, did they deliver with Superior Spider-Man. That book was so cool. Like Peter Parker, Spider-Man, he's hands down my favorite character in anything ever. He has been for close to 4 decades. But I did not want Superior Spider-Man to end. It was such a cool run. And, that's it. So, Brubaker's Captain America, Spidey dying, and Amazing Spider-Man 700. What else have I got on this list? That's my shopping list. All right, so I'm going to shut up and piss off. Latest potatoes, Jimmy out.
I remember enjoying the Spider-Man death, but it's been a while since I've read it. How did he die? I don't recall. Did he get beaten to death? I can't remember. Spider-Man 7, it was amazing. I remember reading it and being like, God
I think it was
damn.
more...
I remember Dan Slott nailing it.
Dude, I do not know.
I can't remember how he died, right? There's a space. Or it used to be there.
Did he just get slowly overwritten by Doc Ock? That can't be. No, he actually had to have died, right?
He died. He died because he got swapped into Doc Ock's body that was dying.
Right.
Doc
Just
Ock's,
did the mind swap.
Yes,
and then
they did the mind
Peter was
swap
in Doc
thing,
Ock's dying body.
and he was like, "Now you're trapped in my body, Peter." And he's like, "Oh," and Doc Ock dies.
That information was replaced by me trying to come up with a joke. The Jingo ate my baby.
That's not funny.
So I've already pushed it out.
Yeah, great, nice job, way to go. Okay, who do we got here? Black Scorpion number 3. I love this guy.
Nerds, Black Scorpion number 3. Yes, I'd answer a question of the week on crossing fictional characters across universes. So, in Star Trek, everybody loves Q, right? There's something great that happens when Q just appears. Something goes on. And
I think he is answering next week's question. Yeah, he's answering. He's crossing fictional characters. He's answering next week's question
because it was in the episode.
Yeah. Okay, we'll play it. We'll play it next week. We'll hold on to that one.
Save this one.
Don't forget
save this one.
Okay, so make sure that one says start. But
yes, I got it.
You can go backwards. We can't go forwards. So you're gonna, you can always go back in time, but going forwards fucks everything up. So.
Yeah. It's.
Morning, gents. JD got a catch. Calling in. Sorry for the last minute call, but Saturday mornings just feel like old times, back to the old routine, which hopefully we'll get back to soon. But so the question of the week.
I don't know what he's talking about.
Asked about if you could have any library you wanted to read during quarantine. Well, I thought about this for a bit, and to be perfectly honest, I kind of already have that with the Lake House. I mean, granted, I like reading books other than Marvel, but I've long gone on and proselytized the extensive library of Marvel Unlimited, and I just think it's a great thing. But so I think I would answer the question with another question, just since Joe was asking for additional questions of the week. You guys can answer this now, or you can post it as another question. But so during this quarantine time, I've been going back and reading a lot of older stuff I've already read. Comfort food, just kind of that emotional comfort food reading. Went back and read Age of Apocalypse because we're in an apocalypse.
Oh, so good.
Gone back and read Whedon and Cassidy's Astonishing X-Men. Went back and read Fraction and Naja's Hawkeye. And so I would just ask you guys, what are you guys reading? So what's your comfort food? What's your rereads that has gotten you through this time?
Sure.
Appreciate it, and I'll talk to you guys later.
That's kind of what I thought the question was, honestly, to begin with, like your comfort comics.
No, it was more like sky's the limit. What do you pick?
Right. No, I learned.
Right. So, I mean, for me, my comfort reading has kind of more or less come in the form of our weekly themes for Old Comic Book Day.
I've definitely been inspired by those. We've been doing stuff like, we picked like robots and Westerns and stuff. And then like I found after we were done, I was like, man, I want to go back and read that. I want to read that whole thing.
Yeah, like last week when we did deaths, I read The Death of Jean DeWolf, Chapter 1, and I ended up reading the whole storyline.
Yeah. I've already got those Spectacular Spider-Man.
There may have been another one that I did that for as well.
I've got those downloaded. I'm going to read that whole thing. It was too good.
But not the funny animals. Fuck that shit.
No, God, no. I don't ever need to revisit that crap. God. That's an embarrassing time.
But yeah, like I've been like kind of like you said, inspired by some of our choices, and I've gone on to read more than I needed to for whatever particular theme we chose. I haven't done a lot of extra reading on top of that, but we'll get to that. We have one more call. We'll talk about that later.
So whenever I get in this like comfort comic mode where I just want to read something wacky but great, I'll go back. I've got a bunch of the old Jack Kirby collections, the DC ones, and I just read Commandy last week because I couldn't sleep. So I was like, I'm going to read Commandy. That'll knock me out. Guess what? It's great. It totally ruled. It was so weird and completely Jack Kirby. And it was from this time where he had left Marvel because he felt like he was stifled or he wasn't being paid or whatever. And DC was like, you can literally do whatever you want. Anything. We won't stop you. And they didn't. He poured his brain out into these comics. And they're so cool. I'm going to read the Demon that he did there next, which could be really annoying because I can't stand how the Demon talks. He's like the most annoying.
Like the rhyming.
Yeah, he's like an annoying Shakespearean rapper. It sucks. I can barely handle it. But the art is gorgeous. So I'm excited to read that one.
Oh, last week I also read all of Avengers Disassembled, which was I did not have the same reaction to.
So how did it? How do you feel after? Because we read the Death of Hawkeye, and we're both like, yeah, that's kind of dumb. But like together, reading it as a collection, how's it hold up?
It's so obviously written for the trade because it has these abrupt issue endings.
Oh yeah,
where it's like 3 issues in, Doctor Strange shows up at the very end to explain what's happening. And so all you do is like you see Doctor Strange appear. He says, "I'm Stephen Strange. Something bad's going on with magic." And then literally the last panel of the issue is Captain America saying, "Oh no." And that's the end.
Cap's not allowed to say, "Oh no." He's a dude.
Yeah, that's fine. It's fine. But it's weird and abrupt.
Right. It's like without like that old school, like, tune in next time to the Avengers to see what, it's just like, wait a minute, we're done.
But, as a whole, I think Hawkeye's death is probably the worst part of it. Like I said last week, I do enjoy what that storyline set up for Bendis' version of the Avengers.
Right.
I really like House of M. I really loved New Avengers.
Oh, yeah. House of M is one I'd like to reread. I remember that being a lot of fun. I remember it being too long.
One of Marvel's better modern events.
I remember we decided, like, you probably could have done this in 6 issues. I don't know that we needed 8.
I don't know. I mean, that could be true.
Yeah.
But yeah, as a whole, like, I also really like, so spoilers for Avengers Disassembled, I guess. It kind of shits all over Kurt Busiek and George Perez's, like, redefinition of the Scarlet Witch.
Didn't it have to, though?
Yeah, no. Why?
One, she was way too.
Listen, I'll set it.
She's way too powerful.
In Kurt Busiek's run on Avengers, she kind of like taps into this new source of power, and they're like, "Oh, it's chaos magic."
Right.
And it explains why her mutant powers are so weird. It explains why her hex bolts are doing like very strange and way too powerful things. Yada yada yada. And then at the end of Avengers Disassembled, Doctor Strange shows up and goes, "There's no such thing as chaos magic."
Yeah, like, no, it's not a thing.
Yeah, no, it's the reality is that the Scarlet Witch's mutant power is not hex bolts. It's to tap into magic with no training whatsoever.
Right.
Like she just woke up one day with this vast power that she did not earn.
She was just like naturally attuned to it, and that's why she's nuts.
Yeah, right. Like she didn't spend years studying with the Ancient Ones. She's just like, oh, like, whoa, I guess I'll just make some babies out of thin air.
It's like if you had mutant karate.
Sure, yeah.
You never trained, and then one day you could break a board, Weird.
Right. Yeah. So like all of the knowledge with none of the context,
Exactly.
basically.
Exactly.
Which is kind of a neat idea. But yeah, overall, Avengers Disassembled is okay.
Fair enough.
Just that Hawkeye death, man. It stings.
Yeah, it did sting. All right, final call here.
Hey, it's Jason Sachs. So what's a comic you'd like to catch up on during quarantine? I think the answer is Usagi Yojimbo. It's a comic I've always loved in small batches.
Yeah.
But I've never sat down and read a giant, enormous swath of it. I know it's a wonderful book, beautiful art by Stan Sakai, and these fantastic Japanese legends done by Sakai. I just I've never dug into it. So I'd love to have a chance to sit down and read 200 or 300 issues of it and just revel in the wonder of those stories. And also be such a relief given where our freaking fucked up world is these days.
That's true.
Oh, just be such a pleasure to escape into medieval Japan and just not have to think about all our chaos. And I hope you guys are doing well. Talk to you later. Bye.
Man, I've got the Drawn and Quarterly first 10 years collection of Usagi Yojimbo and burned through it. It's first of all, it's a beautiful hardcover. I don't know if they did any more though. I think they did one and then I don't know if the rights got shuffled or what, but never saw any more. It is so wonderful and just relaxing and beautiful and really well told. I mean, if you dig samurai movies, you'll love Usagi Yojimbo. It's an incredible comic. That's a great answer.
My favorite, perhaps my favorite Google Voice translation so far is it translating Stan Sakai as Santa Car.
Oh, Santa Car. I think I did just find the second hardcover, actually. Oh, neat. Yeah, I might get this. Neat. All right. Anyway, let's get to us. Let's get to our friggin' answers. You came up with something that you thought wasn't very interesting. Pardon me.
Yeah, I mean, I don't remember the context of the conversation. I don't remember how or why it came up, But a while back, a few weeks ago, somebody brought up Mark Grunwald's run on Captain America. And I've just really been kind of obsessed with the idea of sitting down and reading that huge chunk, that decade-long run, just to see all the stuff that he added to that character.
Yeah, I've never read that stuff, I don't think.
I've only read a few here and there. I had scatterings of issues. Like I remember that I had one. His shield had been stolen,
right?
And I had the final installment of that storyline where he finally tracks the shield down. Like somebody had hired these goons to steal the shield so that they could replicate it, and they kidnapped the scientist that created it. And he's like, "You guys don't understand. It's one of a kind. It's like I don't know how to do it."
Right.
And so they have like just dozens of failed shields laying around this warehouse, and they've built a giant suit of armor, and he thinks he's finally cracked the code. He's finally cracked it, and they've coated a giant war suit in the same material.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
and Captain America shows up, and he's searching through all these shields. The paint's been stripped off of it, so he doesn't know which one's his. And suddenly he picks it up and he's like, "Oh, this is the one." And he throws it at the war suit and it cuts right into it.
That's awesome.
It's like they were so sure that they were going to win. And Cap's shield tears through it like it was tissue paper. It's amazing. Anyway, I'd like to sit down and really dive into Mark Grunwald's Cap run. It's something that I'm not super familiar with, but it should be held right up there with like Simonson's Thor and John Byrne's FF.
I'd like to, yeah.
I think it deserves that spot.
I would definitely like to read those too. I've never really dug into those. I was just more interested in old X-Men stuff at that time, so I never really got around to them.
Sure.
I would really like to go back and read some of the old Black Panther stuff. There's a run by Don McGregor, which is like really, it's like held up there as legendary Black Panther stuff. I love the character of Black Panther. I love old school Black Panther comics, and I have no idea why I'd never read that shit. And like I started reading Panther's Rage, which was like where they first sort of reinvented the character, like, and just let Don McGregor kind of run with it, because I think Black Panther sales weren't so great, so they were like, fuck, let's try something. And he sort of reinvented the character, and it's amazing. It is excellent shit.
I mean, I'm pretty certain that by the time Panther's Rage started coming out, he had not had a title in some time.
Oh, I'm sure.
Because there was he had his ongoing for a while after those issues of Jungle Action.
Right.
But that was in the 70s.
Yeah. And Panther's Rage, that was more like 80s, early 80s?
That was 80s.
Yeah.
That was mid-80s, early mid-80s for sure.
I would definitely like to go back and read those. I've just heard they're fantastic. That, and when we've been digging into a bunch of like older DC stuff, I never read any of that when I was young. I only read Marvel comics. So like I read Red Tornado or something like that for the robots was our theme. And realized like I never read any of this old 80s DC stuff. And I kind of want to read a lot of the post-crisis stuff that I missed.
Oh, I highly recommend.
Yeah, like the Justice League at the time and stuff like that. I would love to revisit those. And
like if you've never read John Byrne's run on Superman and Action Comics, you're missing out.
I'm very aware of it. Like I know the stuff that happened and I know the legendary parts. I've never read them, and I would really like to do that.
They're really good. Action Comics became like a Superman team up book,
right?
And so every issue had a different guest star,
like Wild Dog,
and
Vigilante.
Yeah, like the Teen Titans are. I think the first issue of it has the Teen Titans. A great Metal Men team up where Chemo comes back.
God, I hate the Metal
and accidentally absorbs the powers of Superman.
Whoops.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, I would like to dip into a lot of that, and I think I probably will, just because like I said, I just never mainlined it as a kid, and returning as an adult, it's a lot of fun to read. Just from the historical perspective and like seeing like how it was written, how they paneled stuff, you can absorb it on so many different levels now. And it's still really good. A lot of it's still really timeless and good. Mm-hmm. It's crazy.
Yeah. One of my favorite comic books of all time is John Byrne's Superman #8, where he meets the Legion of Superheroes for the first time post-crisis. They show up and they're like, Superman, hey, what's up? It's us, your best friends. And Superman is like, who the fuck are you? We've never met. And so that's like the first time they had to like try to massage post-crisis history.
Right, because like that was all undone in Crisis, more or less.
Yeah, exactly. But the Legion, like as far as the Legion concerned, like they were still like inspired by Superman. Our history has not changed, except it wasn't Superman. Like it wasn't the Superman we have now, so we don't know what's going on.
It was a different, and now it's Superboy.
Yeah, they were inspired by Superboy. Sorry, but right. It's a really interesting like balancing act of trying to like retcon.
Okay, so at the risk of this podcast going on for another hour and a half, the Superboy that went to the future was Clark Kent.
In the original continuity, the Legion of Superheroes was inspired by the classic pre-crisis Superboy Clark Kent. Yes.
Okay. And then after Crisis, it was
still Superboy. And so when they showed up in
still Clark Kent Superboy?
Yes.
Okay.
At least at first. And then when they showed up after the Crisis in that Superman issue, and he had no memory of them because he had never been Superboy. In the new continuity, he had never been Superboy. So it's this wild story with a villain called the Time Trapper and a parallel universe.
The future still happened.
Yeah, and so like way later on, there is an issue of the Legion of Superheroes that ties into Millennium. There was a character in the Legion called Laurel Kent, and she was a descendant of Superman.
Okay.
And in the post-crisis, they revealed that was all bullshit, and she was secretly a Manhunter robot.
So that was like in a time where like anything that didn't quite work, that you could be a Manhunter, which is basically Marvel's life model decoys. Or Skrulls. I mean, basically. Marvel had two. Yeah,
exactly.
Marvel had two of them.
Sorry.
They said Marvel had two of them that they could blame for everything.
They could, yeah. And then even later than that, their version of Superboy actually is killed. He dies. So
okay. And now it's
very interesting how
now it's Jonathan
did
Kent
that.
Is doing this.
What?
Now it's Jonathan Kent is.
Now it's Jonathan Kent. Yes.
But the Legion knows all about him. They're like, oh yeah, we're welcome. We love having you here. You've already inspired us.
Yeah, it's history to them.
Oh, okay. Got it. Okay. Sorry. My brain was like trying to wrap around, like, was it Clark Kent that came and inspired them? They were just inspired by the history. And so they're excited to have Jonathan Kent there.
I'm a little fuzzy actually on whether or not Clark Kent being Superboy is currently in continuity.
Right. That's where I was going with this. Now that Jonathan is there, is he the Superboy that's working with them? Or did Clark already do that and it's back? And Jonathan's there now? You know what I mean?
When they showed up in Bendis's Superman, I feel like he did not know them. So I think in this version, this post-rebirth whatever version, Jonathan Kent is their inspiration.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So there we go. Whew. All right. That was a ride.
We did it. We solved all the Legion's problems.
So let's set up our new question of the week for next week. Guys, we're going to be testing some stuff on the site and on Facebook and whatnot. So don't freak out. Just a test. All right.
Yeah. You know,
wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
just pay attention, but don't get too crazy. Yeah. We'll let you know when it's time to get crazy.
Possibly a bold new era on its way. We'll see.
A
creative team change. Yeah.
We just had our milestone 575th episode, so anything goes.
We got to shake it up. Creative team change.
We got a couple of written answers. Should I read them or just save them for the post?
No. Let's talk about them. CJ Dan was talking about Invincible, right?
Yeah. So JD mentioned the Age of Apocalypse. CJ Dan said he just completed Kirkman's Invincible.
Man.
And Layman's Chew. He had both of them in his pile for years.
I still need to finish both Invincible and Chew. I haven't finished either.
Invincible's great.
Of course,
it's so great.
You hated the end of Chew.
I didn't like the end of Chew. I like Chew all the way through until the end. Invincible, I love. I really love it. Kyle Fox says, I have a couple runs of Transformers, both Robots in Disguise and More Than Meets the Eye, that I want to dust off and finally read. I also want to get caught up on my Power Rangers comics. Those have been surprisingly good.
Every time I read one, it's great.
Yeah.
Like the last one we read, I think, was the Power Rangers Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles crossover, which has no business being any good at all. And it was fucking excellent.
It was fantastic.
Yeah, like
yes,
knock out excellent.
Bryant Thomas says, for me, it would be either Invincible or Superior Spider-Man if I wanted to reread something. But for catching up or starting something new, it might be Mighty Morphin Power Rangers or Cosmic Ghost Rider, since I've heard it's pretty good.
Cosmic Ghost Rider is wonderful. It's just wonderful. Donny Cates can do whatever he wants, though. He made me read a fucking Venom comic, and I loved it. He made me read a Carnage comic, and I loved it. Damn it, Donny Cates.
Venom 25 came out this week, I think. And Donny Cates made the bold proclamation that Venom 25 is everything you need from a comic book.
Fair enough. I trust him implicitly. Probably is. I'm fine with that. I'm going to read it when we get done here. I'm going to love it.
All right. So we have a new question of the week submitted by Phil Lee via the THN Forums.
Hardworking dude, Phil Lee.
He is. Which one, pick one, fictional character or group would you drop into the Marvel or DC universes? For instance, would you put the Archie gang in Smallville growing up with a young Clark Kent? Perhaps Buffy Summers and the Scooby Gang in the 616? Maybe the entire cast of My Hero Academia bursts into the DC universe.
Do me a favor, don't put Godzilla there. We tried that experiment, read it not too long ago. Sucked.
Yeah, it didn't work out.
No business
now, guys, we are getting to that point where I could use more question of the week suggestions. So please hit me up on the forums or via email or whatever. You know where to find me.
And quite honestly, they don't need to be crazy heady or anything. Just fun.
No.
Let's have some fun bullshit questions.
Yeah, I mean, look, everybody's got a ton of stuff on their minds.
How can the thing possibly beat up Hydro Man? How can that work?
Sure.
Let's talk about that. What are the physics of punching a guy in and out of water,
If Hydro Man and Sandman get in a fight, it always ends with Sandman. They turn into some sort of immobile mud monster. But wouldn't it just make Sandman more powerful if his sand was heavier?
I don't know, but the fact that there's a fire hydrant on every curb in New York tells me that problem with Sandman, just call the fucking fire department and they'll blow him away. No problem. Get out of here, Sandman. Squirt. And he's like, damn it. It's like with the old Green Lantern, Alan Scott. He had a weakness to wood. All right, let's just all show up with baseball bats and kick the shit out of it. All right, call us 402-819-4894. Send us an MP3 to twoheadednerd@gmail.com and answer the question of the week. We post bonus questions. You can respond to anything you hear on the regular show as well. Thank you for listening. Thank you for downloading. Thank you for playing. We don't have a show without you, and we will be back next Saturday. Do it all again. Joe Patrick, say goodnight.
Good night.
This is the Two-Headed Nerd, signing off.